The hidden temptation, why even the most loyal women can be vulnerable. What if I told you that the most vulnerable women in relationships aren't the ones looking for trouble, but the ones who never thought they could be tempted? Not because they're weak, not because they're disloyal, but because human nature is wired for desire, validation, and emotional connection. No woman wakes up thinking, today I'll risk everything I've built. Yet sometimes it happens not all at once, but in the smallest, most innocent moments, a shared laugh, a lingering glance, a message that makes her heart race. And suddenly she's standing at the edge of a line she never thought she would even approach. So why does this happen? And more importantly, how do they justify it to themselves? Let's break it down. Number one, before she crosses the line, what really pushes married women toward temptation? A great marriage is not when a perfect couple comes together. It is when an imperfect couple learns to enjoy their differences. Davema. When a woman steps into marriage, she does so with the purest of intentions, commitment, partnership, loyalty. She envisions a lifetime built on shared dreams, mutual respect, and unwavering love. Yet somewhere along the way, even in the most stable relationships, temptation creeps in, silently, slowly, and often unnoticed, until it's too late. It's critical to understand this. Most married women don't go looking for temptation, finds them in the cracks that life naturally creates over time. Emotional neglect, the silent killer of connection at the heart of temptation, is not a lust for physical adventure, but an ache for emotional connection. Women are emotionally wired. They crave intimacy, conversation, affection, and the sense of being seen, heard, and valued in the beginning. Stages of love, these needs are effortlessly fulfilled. Every glance is filled with meaning. Every conversation feels electric. Every touch reassures her, I choose you. But as the years pass, daily, life intrudes. Jobs demand attention. Children require constant care. Bills need to be paid. Routines replace romance. The marriage becomes functional rather than emotional. Conversations shift from passionate to practical. What time is the appointment? Did you call the plumber? Don't forget the parent-teacher meeting. Without realizing it, a woman can begin to feel like a roommate instead of a romantic partner. Not because the love is gone, but because the feeling of being cherished fades. And when a woman feels unseen, unnoticed, and unheard, her heart becomes vulnerable. The craving for validation is not vanity, it's a human need, especially for women who once felt adored by the very person who now takes them for granted. When a woman feels invisible in her marriage, even the smallest outside attention can feel overwhelmingly significant. A compliment from a stranger, a co-worker's warm laughter at her jokes, a lingering conversation that feels alive. It's not the man that draws her in. It's how she feels around him. She feels attractive again. She feels interesting again. She feels worthy again. The temptation isn't about finding someone better. It's about reconnecting with a part of herself that she thought had disappeared. We don't just fall in love with others. We fall in love with how they make us feel about ourselves. Unknown, boredom, and the myth of stability. Here's a truth. Few people are willing to admit security without excitement becomes suffocating. Marriages that are stable, safe, and predictable, while comforting, can also become monotonous. Psychologists refer to this as the collage effect, a phenomenon where familiarity breeds indifference and novelty reignites passion. When every day follows the same script, wake up, go to work, handle responsibilities, repeat, even the most loyal women can start yearning for something unpredictable, something thrilling, something that makes the heart race, if only for a moment. It's not that she wants to replace her husband. She wants to feel the spark of life again. And if that feeling comes from an innocent conversation with a colleague, an old friend, or even a stranger, the door to temptation cakes open just a little at first. Lack of appreciation, the underrated danger. Another silent driver behind temptation is the lack of appreciation. In the early days of a relationship, appreciation is abundant compliments. Our frequent gratefulness is expressed openly. Small gestures are celebrated, but over time, familiarity breeds complacency. What was once admired becomes expected. What was once praised becomes taken for granted. And nothing stings more than feeling unappreciated by the person you sacrifice for every day. Appreciation is like oxygen to a relationship. Without it, love suffocates. When another person, a stranger, a friend, or a co-worker, shows genuine appreciation for things her spouse no longer notices. The emotional void inside her starts to fill, not because she is unfaithful at heart, but because she is human, emotional. Fulfillment greater than physical fulfillment. It's crucial to understand this. Women cheat emotionally long before they ever cheat physically. Men often associate infidelity with physical betrayal, but for women it begins much earlier when she shares her dreams with someone else, when she laughs at jokes. She no longer shares at home, when she confides her fears, frustrations, and joys to someone outside her marriage. Emotional intimacy lays the groundwork for physical intimacy. By the time anything physical happens, the real betrayal has already occurred in her heart. Emotional affairs are like fire. They start small, almost invisible, until one day they burn everything down, unknown. It's not about finding someone better. Here's perhaps the deepest secret. It's rarely about the other man. The new man is often not better looking, richer, or more successful than her husband. He's simply present. He's simply attentive. He simply makes her feel something she misses desperately. She's not running to him. She's running away from loneliness, invisibility, monotony, and emotional starvation in her mind. It's not even cheating. It's survival. It's emotional self-rescue. And that's what makes the situation so dangerous, because when a woman believes she's saving herself emotionally, morality becomes blurry. Final words for this section. Before she crosses the line physically, she crosses it emotionally. And it all starts not with bad intentions, but with unmet needs. The tragedy is most marriages could survive, even thrive, if these emotional needs were acknowledged and nurtured early. But too often, by the time anyone notices the danger signs, the damage is already irreversible. As the old saying goes, people don't abandon the people they love, they abandon the people they feel invisible. To number 2, the lies we tell ourselves. How rationalization leads to betrayal. The mind will justify what the heart has already decided. Unknown betrayal rarely begins with action. It begins in the quiet corners of the mind, where thoughts twist, turn, and eventually justify behavior. Once considered unthinkable, rationalization is the bridge between desire and betrayal. It's the mental game we play to make ourselves feel better about what we already want to do. It's not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it sounds like compassion, sometimes it sounds like logic, but make no mistake, it's the very thing that turns emotional dissatisfaction into destructive decisions. The first lie, I deserve to be happy, this is perhaps the most seductive and common rationalization of all, and on the surface it sounds harmless, even noble after all. Don't we all deserve happiness? But here's the truth. Using happiness as a justification for betrayal is emotional escapism disguised as self-care. When a woman starts feeling unfulfilled, underappreciated, or emotionally neglected, her internal dialogue begins to shift. I've sacrificed so much. No one sees how hard I try. I've done everything right, but I'm still unhappy. Don't I deserve something, someone that makes me feel alive again? These thoughts aren't inherently evil. They are human. But when left unchecked, they create a moral loophole. If happiness is the ultimate goal, then anything that threatens to make you unhappy, even loyalty, becomes negotiable. Suddenly, stepping outside the marriage no longer feels wrong. It feels justified, even necessary. But this is where betrayal begins. Not with the affair itself, but with the belief that you're entitled to break your vows in the name of personal fulfillment. The second lie, it's just a friendship. Affairs rarely begin with intention. They begin with conversation, laughter, comfort, understanding. And before anyone realizes what's happening, those innocent exchanges become addictive, a source of emotional fuel. When a woman begins to connect deeply with someone outside her marriage, her first mental defense is almost always denial. We're just talking. He gets me. That's all. He's like a brother to me. There's nothing physical, so it's not cheating. But here's the hard truth. Emotional infidelity often causes deeper wounds than physical infidelity, because physical betrayal is an act, but emotional betrayal is a bond. It means she chose to confide in someone else, to laugh with someone else, to feel alive with someone else, rationalizing an emotional affair. As just friendship is like playing with fire and insisting it's only warm light until everything burns. The third lie, if my partner were meeting my needs, I wouldn't be doing this. This is the blame-shifting tactic, and while it might contain a grain of truth, it's still a lie. Wrapped in justification, yes. Unmet needs matter, yes. Emotional and physical disconnect can damage a relationship, but betrayal is still a choice. There is always a fork in the road. Communicate or conceal, repair or replace, fight for the relationship or flee from discomfort. Blaming a partner for one's infidelity is a way of avoiding personal accountability. It makes betrayal feel like a reaction instead of a decision. If he had just been more affectionate, if he had appreciated me more, if he hadn't changed after marriage, but that's not the full story, because there's always another option besides cheating: talking therapy, effort, honesty, even separation before betrayal. To betray someone and then use their imperfections to excuse your disloyalty is not only dishonest, it's cowardice, the fourth lie. No one will find out. This is the lie of false control, the illusion that we can play with fire and walk away untouched in the beginning. Secrecy feels like safety. Burner phones, deleted messages, carefully timed meetings, and it might work for a while, but here's what most people forget. Even if no one ever finds out, you know you carry it. It weighs on your mind. It seeps into your tone, your patience, your presence. The energy of guilt is heavy, and sooner or later, it affects everything: your relationship, your self-worth, your peace of mind. The truth always leaves fingerprints, even if no one else sees them. And when betrayal lives in the shadows, it slowly kills the light of genuine connection. The fifth lie: this isn't who I really am. Ironically, this lie is often whispered after the damage is done. It's the mind's way of protecting the ego. I made a mistake, but I'm not a cheater. That wasn't me. I just wasn't myself during that time. But this is what many people refuse to accept. You are what you consistently choose. We are not just defined by our values. We are defined by the decisions we make when those values are tested. And while one mistake doesn't make someone irredeemable, pretending the betrayal was somehow outside your character is another form of avoidance. The path to redemption begins with accountability, not denial. Owning the fact that you crossed a line doesn't make you evil, it makes you honest. And honesty, even when painful, is the only path toward healing, either with your partner or within yourself. Final thoughts: betrayal begins in the mind before a woman ever steps outside the marriage. Physically, she steps outside it mentally, and the lies she tells herself, no matter how small, become stepping stones toward betrayal. First, she feels emotionally starved, then she finds comfort elsewhere, then she justifies it, then she hides it, and finally she convinces herself it's okay because she had no choice. But there is always a choice, and the most dangerous betrayals don't begin in bed, they begin in thought, in rationalizations, in the quiet voice that says, it's not that bad, it's just this. Once it's not really cheating, I deserve this. If that voice isn't challenged, it becomes louder, and soon it drowns out reason, loyalty, and love itself. We don't destroy relationships by accident. We destroy them one lie at a time, and the first lie is always the one we tell ourselves. Number 3, the point of no return. When it's too late to undo the damage, you never know the last time you'll see someone as they were until there's someone else unknown. There comes a moment in every crumbling relationship where something breaks, not loudly, not violently, but permanently. It's not always when the betrayal is discovered. It's not even when the act is committed. It's when the emotional thread snaps, the trust, the safety, the belief that we can survive anything gone. That is the point of no return. And once it's crossed, no amount of apologies, tears or promises can undo what's been done. Emotional erosion happens before the collapse. Contrary to popular belief, relationships don't fall apart overnight. They corrode silently, slowly, day by day, thought by thought, decision by decision. By the time a partner discovers the truth or finally chooses to walk away, the damage has already been done, not just to the relationship, but to how they see you. They no longer see the person they trusted. They no longer feel safe in your presence. They may look at you, but they no longer recognize what they once loved. That shift in perception is irreversible, and it's rarely dramatic. It's quiet, chillingly quiet, like watching something die while still breathing. Apologies can't rebuild what lies destroyed. There's a painful misconception that if you show enough remorse, things will go back to the way they were. But betrayal doesn't just damage trust, it redefies reality and apology. No matter how sincere, can't unsee what was done. It can't unhear the lies. It can't undo the months or years of concealed behavior, because apologies address the action, but betrayal damages the foundation. A shattered mirror might be glued back together, but every reflection afterward is still broken. Every glance reveals cracks that weren't there before. When a partner reaches their emotional threshold, they may forgive, but they never forget. And some wounds, even with forgiveness, still bleed. When respect is lost, love follows. You can't love someone you no longer respect. And once betrayal occurs, especially when it's rationalized, minimized, or hidden, respect is the first casualty. The betrayed partner often goes through a psychological shift. You knew this would hurt me, and you did it anyway. You didn't protect us. You protected your desire. I gave you loyalty. You gave me deception. That shift is the soul exiting the relationship. The heart may stay a little longer out of hope or habit, but once respect is gone, love has no air to breathe. You can try to prove you're sorry. You can over-explain. You can beg. But once someone no longer respects who you are, they stop wanting to love you. The fallout. When silence replaces connection after the point of no return, the communication dynamic changes not into arguments, but into emptiness. The partner no longer engages with anger. They disengage entirely. You can feel the cold in their tone, the distance in their eyes, the effortlessness with which they no longer try. They stop asking questions. They stop checking in. They stop fighting. Not because it's resolved, but because they've given up. That's when, you've lost them, not when they scream, but when they go silent, because silence is what love becomes when it's been betrayed. Too many times attempts to fix it come too late. The tragedy of betrayal is that the one who caused the damage often wakes up when it's already too late, when they finally see the depth of what they've done, when they realize the person they hurt is now numb, detached. Done they try harder, they become everything they should have been months or years ago. They say all the right things, finally, but what they don't realize is this: you cannot fix a dead relationship by becoming who you should have been only after the damage is done. By the time some people are ready to love, right, the other person has already buried the love that once waited for that change, the cold truth. Not all wounds heal. Some betrayals scar so deeply that even if the relationship continues, it's never truly whole again. The betrayed may stay, but their eyes are colder, their tone more distant, their heart a little more guarded every day. And sometimes they don't even know why they stayed, just that they're no longer the version of themselves that once loved freely. Other times, the betrayed walks away and never looks back, not out of hate, but out of self-preservation, because staying would be to slowly bleed for someone who already cut them once. Final thoughts. The moment that changes everything. The point of no return isn't one big moment. It's a collection of ignored red flags, silent wounds, emotional withdrawals, and crossed lines. And when it finally comes, it changes everything. Not because love wasn't strong, but because trust was broken too many times to hold it together. If you've reached that point, you feel it in your bones. And if you haven't, let this be your warning. Every action, every lie, every excuse has a cost. And when the bill finally arrives, it's paid with the loss of someone who once would have given you everything. You never lose someone all at once. You lose them piece by piece, lie by lie, until one day there's nothing left but the version of them who no longer cares. Number 4, the role of emotional starvation. Why women seek outside connection. Women rarely wake up and decide to betray their marriage. They slowly starve until connection elsewhere feels like survival. Anonymous. In many relationships, emotional neglect doesn't scream, it whispers. It's not violent, loud, or obvious. It's subtle. It's a touch that stops happening, a glance that no longer lingers, a partner who's there but no longer present. This is emotional starvation, a quiet erosion that leaves a woman feeling invisible, unworthy, and alone, even when she sleeps beside someone every night. And when a woman reaches that level of depletion, it's not desire she seeks elsewhere. It's validation. It's to feel seen again. Emotional starvation isn't drama, it's drought. People often misunderstand what it means. When a woman becomes distant or dissatisfied in a relationship, they label it as neediness or ungratefulness. But what's actually happening is this: her emotional needs are going unmet, and she's been silent about it for a long time. She stopped feeling heard, she stopped feeling chosen, she stopped feeling like she mattered. Women are naturally wired for connection, not just romantic, but deeply emotional. They want presence, attention, understanding. They want to feel felt. And when their partner becomes distracted, dismissive, emotionally unavailable, or consistently absent, they begin to emotionally wilt. It doesn't happen overnight, but day by day, something inside them begins to die. "I'm fine" often means "I'm numb now" before women seek emotional connection elsewhere. There is almost always a period of trying, of speaking up gently at first, asking for more time, more attention, more warmth. But when those requests go ignored or minimized, she stops talking about it, not because it no longer matters, but because she's exhausted. This is when you'll hear, "I'm fine," and you'll believe her. But "I'm fine" is often the mask women wear when they've emotionally checked out. It's not peace, it's resignation. They are no longer fighting for the relationship, they are grieving it quietly. And this is the danger zone, because while her body stays, her heart is already looking for shelter elsewhere. When someone else starts listening, a woman rarely seeks attention from someone new because she's craving excitement. She seeks it because someone finally sees her, that coworker who remembers her birthday, that online stranger who compliments her mind, not just her appearance, that friend who listens without rushing to fix or criticize. These moments feel small, but when you're emotionally starving, a sip of attention feels like a feast. And soon she's sharing more with them than she does with her partner. Not just facts, but feelings. Not just updates, but dreams. This is emotional infidelity, and it often begins long before physical boundaries are crossed. It's a dangerous place to be, because it makes her wonder, why am I more myself with them than with the person I vowed my life to? Connection is the currency of female desire, while physical attraction matters for most women. True desire grows from connection, emotional safety, mutual respect, being seen without judgment. When that disappears from their primary relationship, so does their affection, so does their loyalty, so does their willingness to keep trying. And then when another man offers those things, not aggressively, but attentively, it awakens something in her that she thought had died, not because she's immoral, not because she's broken, but because she's human. Starve anything long enough and it'll start looking for food somewhere else. Men often realize too late the cruel irony. Many men don't notice what they're losing until it's already gone, until she's dressing differently, laughing more with someone else, or worse, emotionally gone even while physically present. Suddenly he wants to give her the attention she begged for. Years ago he becomes interested, affectionate, involved, but what he doesn't realize is this: you can't water a flower after it's dead and expect it to bloom again. Love doesn't respond well to delayed effort, especially after being neglected for so long. By the time many women seek connection elsewhere, they already mourned the version of their partner they once loved. They've moved on emotionally, if not yet physically. Final thoughts, love, must be fed. The downfall of many marriages isn't loud betrayal, it's quiet starvation. A woman doesn't cheat because she stopped loving you. She cheats emotionally or physically because she stopped loving how she felt around you. If you make her feel like a burden, if you dismiss her emotions, if you take her presence for granted, someone else will come along and make her feel like a gift. And once she feels that difference, she won't forget it. So don't just say, "I love you." Make her feel it daily, deliberately, before someone else.